Wi-Fi being a problem, I would imagine. Righty-ho, there we go. Everything's looking hunky-dory. I'm so glad the microphone is further away from my face, though why it's behaving differently today than it was on previous days is a question for concern.
Hey.
But we'll hit the go live button. And I will
How are you?
say the things I say at the start of every of these episodes. You are listening to Let's Go, the weekly anime podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne. It's Niall. And it's me, Brian. And on this episode, hopefully you can hear me, but also we are going to be covering the anime that aired the week of the 25th of April 2021 to the 1st of May 2021, with the solitary exception that it's the final week, which is going to be a solitary exception because
fucking a lot of shade in front of this episode, yeah.
VLADLOVE,
we put it up against such
episode
a
12,
this cast of stars.
interview
You got
with
Tom
Mai.
Cruise, you got Brad
which
Pitt,
we learn
both of them were
Mamoru
really good.
not a Christian Slayer
It seems
fan.
like he's. That made me laugh pretty hard. I was like, that's true, but fucking hell, that's... A Gibbs Slater disc was pretty good in the name of the
also just say they also have the voice of Mackie saying that Tom
give him one
Cruise's
compliment.
handsomeness
Compliment
covered up his
sandwich.
crude
And
acting.
Hector's. He's pretty good in that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
refuse
they
to name.
say...
Also,
I mean, like,
God,
they
my brain's
refuse to
gone
name
blank
her, so is she
'cause
particularly
I'm on a
litigious
bunch
or
of
something? I
painkillers.
don't
Maybe
fucking get
Kirsten,
that.
maybe Kirsten Dunst. Sorry,
who's the
don't do
actress
it.
that they claim they
It's, yeah, I was mixing them up.
Well, now we're in trouble. We said her name out loud, and she's going to come sue us. Great job, guys.
I
No,
didn't
it's
say that she has
Kirsten
the face
Dunst.
of an
That is who
old
it
lady
is,
when she
yes.
was a small child.
That's the
I didn't
name
say
was
that.
escaping
The
me.
cartoon did. Go at them. Yeah.
No, the cartoon did.
Well, they have a vampire,
Leads
so they're
Mackie to
halfway
ponder,
there. Like, yeah.
what do hetero men find attractive? And so they're going to remake Interview with a Vampire, but with Mai to find out. Yes. But instead, they find out the terrible truth of Mai's upbringing that Mai's trying to put behind her
I'll give you one something.
Doctor with no
by
marbles.
drugging her and
Like,
hypnotizing her. That is how they
Her
find it out,
live-in
because they are
girlfriend
terrible,
friend
terrible people.
was kind of like, I don't want to do this interview thing, but it's just like, hey, shouldn't you find out stuff about her if you care about her? All right, I guess you don't want to. I guess you don't care about her that much. It's like, eh. And the doc's like, well, I got questionable morals, so you can't stop me. And she's already drugged, so we might as well go through with it. And we're going to go through with it without you anyway. So she's been dragged along into it, but she is also, her curiosity is getting the better of her.
Yeah, and it is the typical tale of a
Clark
vampire,
Gable.
but with a whole load of Gone with the Wind stuck into it as well. Where I learned that there is a dub of Gone with the Wind with
Okay,
Aki Otsuka
Clark Gable's character.
as
anyway.
what's his name? Rhett Butler. Yes. So that was a nice bit of information that I was not aware of. There's multiple questions as why you bring all this information up. What does it have to do with the plot?
Look at how much I know about old
Can you
films.
stop
I think
talking
is the
about
point
old
of it,
films,
right?
please?
Yeah.
It is, yes, but that particular character. I like the fact that characters in the show have the same criticism that if you look on the discussion on my anime list, that a lot of people watching the show have as well. Why are all these references
Sounds
so
like
well?
it's been made by a bunch of old men or something.
Probably those kids who would say, I don't watch
Yes,
films made before 1975.
Yeah.
When the media actually matured.
To which I just have to now have the ODDTAXI quote of like over that generation gap crap. Which again that's probably written from the perspective of a slightly less old man than Mamoru. But yeah, that's the plot. They all have it. They're like, well, she's not alone now because that's the loneliness is a big part of her story of her. mother being killed by vampire hunters, her father starving her so she'll feed on the childhood friend he'd found for her,
Mm-hmm.
The
and then
childhood
abandoning her.
meat/friend he'd bought. Yeah.
But now she's not alone. She's got a whole load of friends who she's teaching how to do a dance and sing a song. Which I quite like the sound mixing on that bit when they're doing the practice in the school playground. Well, the three characters responsible for the interview are watching over them. Because I was like, when she woke up, I was like, is she just going to kill those three now? But no, it's like Panicross. They're still alive.
They're fine.
Yes.
But there's this underlying menace, like, watch out, Mitsu, because after hearing that story, you must entertain the possibility that one day Mai will feed on you.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen then?
Find out in season 2 of VLADLOVE, if such a thing ever happens.
Sometime,
yes.
maybe.
I have no idea how this thing makes money. Well, except maybe all those sequined jackets you can buy.
Really banking on that being a post-pandemic fashion trend.
But
we're going to have to get one of those jackets of each of those three guys whose names escapes me right now.
yes. Currently, I think my fourth favourite show of the year. But that was before I'd watched episode 3 of Iruma-kun, though, so that
it might get pushed down.
That might leap it up that list for the time being. But highly enjoyed it.
It made me laugh at several occasions, so very much so.
It's as mentioned before, it's definitely unlike anything else that's really on at the moment. I kind of found out some weeks it can be kind of hit and miss. I think with episodes that had the good opening, the kind of one where it was rocking out in the basement club, I think those tended to be the ones I liked more. But even then, I kind of liked how the other opening was like, here's like almost like a parody of what a very sedate shoujo drama would look like. Here's all the symbology, here's all the scenes pretending to be in or sad in the bath or whatever. He knows what he's talking about.
Then we've got Zenkaiger, episode 8, number 8 Kai, Door to Door from Another World, in which our heroes don't have to deal with all those robots which have been summoned because Stay Caesar has run out of power. But then Door World shows up and causes all the doors on the planet Earth to become connected randomly. So when you go through a door, you end up coming out of a different door, which eventually leads them to do a whole load of green screen stunts as they go around the world. Also, windows, any other way of getting in and out of a building will also do the same.
When it's a window, a door, when you walk through it. Yeah.
But then we eventually leads to a showdown with Stay Caesar again, who is... We learn that his mother's dead and is like the 863rd wife of his dad, and he seems to hate his dad, and so therefore he didn't have a personal grudge against Zenkaiger, but when Zenkaiger points out that yes, my parents have been seen in the lab with the bad guys, but I trust them 100%. I'm sure they're not doing anything wrong. And that makes Stay Caesar mad because he's like, how can you trust your parents? So now they do have a grudge. And so they're having a fight when all of a sudden a spaceship appears. And out of the spaceship comes Zox Goldsweeker. And he sings a song and does a little dance. And turns into two Kaiser and steals a load of the gears that Stay Caesar's using. And then realizes they're evil gears and just destroys them because he didn't want those ones. And this big old weirdo showed up now. And he's a lot of fun. His transformation is ridiculous. And there's more to talk about him on the next episode when him and his sister and their two little robots. They've got two little super deformed robots who are basically just the toys being wiggled around for much of it when they're not being CGI.
Oh, more toy wiggling later on in this very recording.
Yeah. I mean, like, we like shows that do that, so that's fine.
But we'll get to them next week. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. It's moving so fast, and the door stuff was allowed a lot of slapstick comedy to take place. My favourite bit was when the Gran went through a door and she ended up inside a cinema where the Toei movie thing was running, the big old waves hitting against the shore. And she's like, well, this must be a sign that God wants me to watch a movie. And she just sits down and watches a movie and does not take part in any of the rest of the episode.
Very sensible.
Next up, we've got Tropical-Rouge Precure, episode 9. Makeup is magic. Get tropical with movie.
Yeah. Do most tropical right now. Try and get in as extras on the film they're shooting in town because they want actors, because it's going to be set in a school. And through this, they come across the young teen star of this film. And she's known for being Rose, where she plays a nice, very mannerly, kind of a very calming personality character. But in this, she's been asked to play the villain, the mean girl at school, and she doesn't know how to do that. So the girls try and give her some acting lessons. Asuka is like, okay, so you give her like a mean glare, but it's called an intense gaze. You got going through all of that. None of it seems to be kind of like taking effect. There were some books about here's some books with interesting villains in them. Try that. Nope, not going to take. And it's all being done on the second story of the makeup shop that Sango's mom runs, and she's running a new campaign, and she's got like a big panda head. And like, oh, I'm Princess Cindy, like some Cinderella, and my makeup will make it a bell on the ball. It's kind of noticing because Sango puts on the head for a while and just walks out and starts doing the whole bit. It's kind of noticing that, oh yeah, well, you're not too hung up about the way you look, or you're not, you're comfortable in the way you are. You can act more naturally. You can feel more free to do more things. I just put this mask on. In a way, like almost like putting the makeup on. You become another person, almost like you're acting. And there's a nice little lesson there. It's like the most important thing that the fairy godmother gave Cinderella wasn't the glass slippers, it wasn't the pumpkin carriage. It was the courage to hit that first step into the ballroom. And it's just like, yeah. So go on, you can be a mean girl in this film. The film was actually called The Unpleasant Girl. And Jacquard walks out and just like, she's looking very arch, very stern. Of course, the monster interrupts the proceedings. They deal with this in short order. So we can actually see her in her great scene. And she does a whole like, ha, I'm a mean girl. Which is like a funny bit earlier on. They were trying to get her to practice that. Okay, give it more oomph. It's like, yeah, good things like that. Back at Bad Guy headquarters, not impressed. Lads, Precures are beating you up and down the street every week. What's going on? Well, the monsters are kind of crap, man. Yes. Which procrastinators knows it's giving you a new shiny evil ball, clone stuff, and make stronger monsters. Like, yes. So maybe that means we'll get some better design monsters in the not too distant future. But signs in the preview point to, maybe not. But who's surprised again? Let's see what we do. Moving on swiftly.
Right, then we've got Moriarty The Patriots, episode 15, The Phantom of Whitechapel, Act 1. But really, the first half of it is a different arc entirely. It's a one-chapter story where the 4 assistants are sent on a mission to go and retrieve something from the bank. But first of all, we've got to get over Moran's transphobia. As he's not,
the thing people were complaining about last week is like, just give it a week, lads. They'll immediately address it. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, because nothing in the previous episode would make you assume that the James Bond character needs to be referred to as male from now on. Because last week it's Irene in a disguise.
Yeah.
Now it's James Bond. And
I think they want to be like immersed in the
Yes.
role. You got to like take on this identity so it doesn't raise any suspicions. Because you know Sherlock Holmes lives in the city too, right? He'll pick up on that in a second, so we can't give that away.
Yeah.
So the basic thing is James wants to join them. James Bond wants to join them in the men's changing room, as far as I can tell. Like it's like the men's quarters,
Yeah.
basically, of the mansion or something. And he's like, "Well, no, I can't be changing in here with a woman." And everyone's just like, "The fuck are you talking about? James is a man. What's the problem?" And he kind of doubts his ability to do the job like a real man. And it's a good thing they have a job set up for him. Go pick up this box. What's in this box in the safe deposit box of the bank?
Yeah. And it just so happens...
Seems a bit easy job to send 4 lads.
It just so happens at the same time, a bank robbery happens. What are they going to do? Well, they've got to think on their feet. And this is where James is like, he's planning something, but then just realised the other 3 have already gone off and done things without discussing it first. This is what Moran explains, is that's what's expected of them. You've got to know what... James knows... James had done all the thinking, he just hadn't realised that everyone was going to do the same thinking and then immediately act on it rather than discuss it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and prior, he would have been doing like plans of, let me plan this thing out in advance and then do the action. Whereas this is like, no, you make the plan and then you do it immediately. There's no in between.
You're a henchman now. You're a mastermind now. You're a henchman. You got to act in your own initiative based on what the mastermind would want. What the mastermind wants to do right now, we want to secure the item, right? Yes, but also we need to keep this on the down low, and we can't draw attention to the fact that we're here. So we got to stop this heist, but not let anybody know we were involved. You get me?
Yeah. So it's bad if they get out of there. And because Moriarty's were known to be there, but they do have to stop the heist and save the hostages. But they also have to secure the safety deposit box, and also cannot be the saviors because then that would draw attention to them. And can't get anyone get killed because then Sherlock Holmes might come to investigate it, and they're like, "Ugh, did he fucking find out?" There's a lot of potential things that could go wrong.
Yes, but James has a plan, and that is involving shooting all the lights out using the flash from Sebastian's pistol to briefly illuminate where the bank robbers are, so James can beat them up, and then tell the stupid policeman who's guarding the bank that he was the one who did it.
He was knocked out immediately at the start of it. Yeah. Like, that was amazing, the way you took out all those bank robbers. And he's like,
the commendation from the mayor this for you.
I mean, that suits them as well, because he's going to get a promotion, and he's inept. So, as criminals, that's great.
Well, again, here's the piece of information that this show has not given us yet, which it would have given us in the comic by this point. It would have given it before the last arc, I believe, is that... let me get the right one. William is, is the head of MI6. So before they've introduced James Bond in the comic, they've already introduced Moneypenny.
Oh, right. Okay.
But they haven't showed up yet in the anime because they're in such a rush to get to James Bond.
I understand why you'd want to rush to get to James Bond, and also I think it's more fun to do the James Bond reveal, because if you do the MI6 Moneypenny and everyone's just like, I see, it telegraphs it too much. So I can see why they changed the order.
Yeah, I believe
for that.
That's why Irene Adler didn't show up in the books after that point, because it became James Bond. Yeah. Makes sense.
I believe this will be an issue in the next week's episode when a character who was introduced during that arc just shows up. But.
Again, the best way to view this, it seems to be halfway between reading it and watching it. But the show
it works. But I was like, when I read that, I was like, okay, that shines a few things in a slightly different light in the previous arc. So the thing they've recovered are the weapons belonging to Jack. He's got the surname from Dracula.
Dracula, yeah. Renfield?
Jack Renfield.
Renfield.
The original Jack the Ripper. This one in the papers, he's a copycat. As of course, there is one, because by the end, William's got a suspicion that there's more than one.
And that it's specifically about because that seems to be the effect it's having. That it's sowing political unrest in that you have the locals, Whitechapel, telling the police to fuck off. They'll take care of their own, that kind of thing. And the police are specifically just trying to stop them becoming a rebellion, rather than actually stop the murders, which is, you know, our one good cop is kind of like, this is bullshit. I hate this.
Yeah, Lestrade is positioned here as the voice of reason in the police department.
We must protect people from being murdered. It's like, oh, they're just prostitutes. Who fucking cares? We must stop a rebellion. That's what the police is for.
You have to contain this.
Yeah, which is kind of how the fucking police is these days.
Does the guy with the character design who's standing behind Lestrade say anything this episode? The guy in the glasses.
Oh, that dude, yeah.
There's he says something in this one where like Lestrade is like, I'm gonna fucking go sort this out. This needs doing. And he's like, watch the shop for me, kind of thing. And he's like, of course I will. I'm your mate, haven't I?
Yeah,
or something like that.
Something like that. Anyway,
yeah.
He's clearly another character we're going to be following. Ongoing.
Has a design, is a character.
But yeah, it's interesting that they're doing the Jack the Ripper story. Which one of the many theories will they do, or will they come up with a brand new one that doesn't tie into any?
It's kind of fun, you know, just to think what this literary villain would, you know, think about this actual villain, of which a lot of literary fiction has been written about after as well. You know.
Like that, they could just say it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They can do whatever the fuck they want at this
stage.
Yeah. They don't give a shit.
Throw it all together. And means I know because also was just there that's Jack Redfield. He's like, he taught all the Moriarty boys CQC essentially. You know, he doesn't use guns, only knives and close quarters things. So I think we can look forward to maybe a few cool knife fights in the sewers of London and not do this in the future.
Hopefully. I was liking him because he was like this unassuming, posh-looking old man, but then like he keeps like doing weird shit, and someone will point out, "Is like, hey, you're this thing," and then he'll laugh really madly, and that was very funny to me.
He's wearing like fucking a bandolier and knives. He's got like, you know, knives in his leg holsters and this within reach at all times. Little ankle one or something. I don't know.
It's a good thing they went and got his box of knives that he needs to do his job with.
Passed down his family for centuries.
Yeah, and he earned the name Jack the Ripper in Afghanistan, I believe they say.
Yeah, feared by friend and foe alike kind of thing. For his, I assume, just murdering people left and right.
He's probably like some dude. He's a military, like a service in the army, but he has like maybe some thoughts about what the army is fighting for and who they're fighting for and the things they will do, particularly like in Afghanistan or some fair number of atrocities coming out there.
Yeah,
as in most wars, particularly in Afghanistan.
Yeah, like that was the same nickname that your man Raiden got in Metal Gear Solid. Like, and again, I think that was in Afghanistan. So I was like, was there a Jack the Ripper in Afghanistan?
That was Liberia, it was Liberia. I think it was that one.
Yeah, you're right. But again, it makes me think that both these things are referencing that as being a Jack the Ripper in the Middle East. And I was like, was that a fucking thing? Then I'm gonna have to see if that's a thing.
Alternate histories. The Moriartys founded the Patriots.
Then we've got Dragon Goes House Hunting, episode 4, A Cold Home. The theme tune has really grown on me now.
It's very bouncy and very like exciting and fun. Yeah.
Anyway, yes, he wants to be left alone. So where better to be left alone than Arctic conditions in the Great White North of wherever this world is. I assume the geography is whatever it needs to be for the time being.
As with all good campaigns, yeah.
Yes. So, a lesson on how to build an igloo. So, get to it, Letty.
You get another lesson at the end, which is like make it out of cardboard box, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking good, actually." I hadn't thought.
Oh yeah. I keep forgetting about those bits.
And then once you've built a igloo, see how you do in 3 days. Can you survive for 3 days?
I'll be back in 3 days. See how it goes, and He has multiple troubles trying to catch animals. I think my favorite was when it was like trying to stalk the wolves and just going like, do I go for this? And it's like, no, you're immediately destroyed by wolves.
Manages to lose the igloo. Manages to get stuck on an ice floe with an egg.
With an egg, yeah.
That is constantly resisting the urge to eat the egg.
Because this should like eat the egg. Wait, it's like, wait, minding eggs is literally the reason I lost my fucking home. So
I'd be
I'm gonna mind this
better
egg.
than
Yeah.
damn hunters who keep busting into our place.
Should mention his winter wear is amazing. It's this
Oh,
giant
it's so
fluffy
good.
white cloak.
It's the cute looks when he took the big circular. Oh, everything okay?
Yeah, you went a bit robotic there for a second. So
Oh,
I wonder
sorry.
if it's my connection, but I don't think anything else is sitting on it.
Okay, it was fine. Letty going from like circular fluff shape to like the regular dragon shape. I was like, did Letty lose like a shitload of weight in the meantime? I couldn't tell because I was so used to seeing him as a big round dragon.
And then gets swallowed by a whale.
It's swallowed by Moby Dick by the look of it. Yeah.
Yes. Inside meets Davy Jones.
Oh, we did meet a Yeti as well.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh yeah.
Did he meet the Yeti? That's at the end, isn't it?
When was it like the golden Camry style hallucination?
No, that was before. That was in the snowstorm when he couldn't find his igloo. And he meets a Yeti. The Yeti's like, "Come on in." And our elf boy is there, and he's not wearing any clothes because it's so hot inside. And the Yeti takes off all his clothes.
The
all
dwarves
the
are here as well.
Everyone's hot and naked, and I mean hot in both the ways. And it's a fever dream in a snowstorm, basically.
Yes.
But it was a great bit. It did make me laugh.
Yeah, that reminds me of my favourite bit, I think, in the opening credits, is where he's reaching to all these various hands, and the one he actually manages to grasp is the dwarves. It looks absolutely horrified.
But yeah, ends up inside a whale and meets I guess, living on his own, Davy Jones, who's some sort of sea man.
Apparently his race is like Ghost of Jonah, I believe he's labelled as.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Whether this is a particular role-playing game creature in Japan, I don't know. But he's very friendly, shows around, makes himself comfortable in the whale.
It's actually a really nice house, except for the smell. That's literally the only fucking problem with it.
No windows either.
There's that, I suppose. Yeah.
And you're cooking using the whale's blubber, which helps it keep its weight down. It's Davy Jones's excuse.
You're like a symbiote.
He's more like a parasite, but still.
But he's like, I want to see the sun. I can't stay here forever. And I like Davy Jones. Really? Okay. And then they have to get him expelled through the blowhole by dropping loads of pepper inside the whale so it sneezes.
Old classic.
All the time minding the egg, of course.
And then he lands back on the ice floe, and he's wondering about whether he can eat this seal. But it's so cute. And it turns out the seal was Deria. Using a sealskin he'd borrowed from a Selkie friend. But yeah, he was like, "Oh, you're clearly not suitable. You're not up to the job of surviving in this wilderness."
I think he says it like a compliment. It's like, you're too much of a townie to do that, or something like that.
It was like saying, "Oh, well, you took care of that egg, so you're very kind-hearted and soft. You were a bit of a wuss, bit of a."
We'll find you something
a
bit more soft for your kind of softness. And is it at that point the egg hatches?
It does. It says "Daddy."
A little white chocobo hatches, and I still don't know if it's chocobo or chocobo. I no fucking clue, but
I think both are acceptable.
Yeah, it's in the opening, so I'm guessing it's the main character. So more fun with that.
I'm just gonna find a roof for two of them.
And this bird is something from Norse mythology that I would not even know where to begin to pronounce. So hopefully they say it next episode. The eagle-shaped originator of the wind, apparently. But yes, this chick is in the opening credits, so this is the third main character we're being introduced to. Pip. Then we've got Megalobox Nomad, episode 4. Take it away, people who are better with romance languages than I am.
I have a go at this one.
Yeah.
Si la flor del alma florece, el amor no se perderá. Love cannot be lost if the flower of the soul blooms.
In which the real winner is, of course, capitalism.
Yeah. I mean, like, much and all, it was kind of like your man literally saying to the gangsters, like, I don't really give a fuck who pays me, as long as I get paid for the land. That's all I literally give a shit about. And it's like, yeah, pretty much. Doesn't give a fuck about anyone involved.
At least they got to keep their home. That's the happy end of it.
As some kind of a victory, but at what cost?
You've seen boxing films before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a chief is gonna come to with this, and he's only sticking around because he has some jobs left to do. It's sorting out a home for his community, but also he can't go down until he shows that little punk Mio that you gotta have some pride in yourself. There is plenty to be proud of where you come from. And there's, even though you may feel ashamed by it, that's something that people are saying to you and making you believe. What do you actually think? And I gotta show you to have the pride, to show you the spirit that our people have. We've been kind of tossed around all over the place trying to find somewhere to make a life for ourselves. And we're still trying, we're still keeping on going. So don't give up. Don't give up on us.
I did enjoy the fight as well, because obviously they got a guy who's very good at riling Chief up and stuff, and actually forcing him into a mistake kind of thing. It played really well, I thought. Yeah. And both of them kept getting fucking demerits for cheating, basically. at least one each. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's that thing as well. I feel like the rep is really trying to set the other dude up about and saying, this the challenger. He's being very coarse behavior there, ducking 1 point. It's all going to swing his way.
Yeah.
But then, like, the other dude makes a very blatant foul. It's just like, in front of this audience, I'm going to have to call it that one as well.
Yeah, because I mean, like, you got enough fans of Chief there that are gonna probably riot if you fucking don't. Yeah.
Gets his second win though, because he's acknowledging that I'm too old for this shit, man. I'm used to getting pounded in like this, but it's a fun, tough one. You kind of he's really only kind of hanging in there, but it's when Mio comes in through the doors and he sees him, if he's fighting for the people.
The crowd's all cheering for him and everything. He's actually won over more of the crowd, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, he's brought him over, and then it gives him like the fucking extra oomph, just fucking blade that fucker out in one go.
You get it.
And then they go to have a party, and then Chief says the thing that dooms him. I'm afraid to go to sleep. Because he thinks it's a dream, and if he'll wake up and it won't have really happened. But of course, you're like, okay, right.
Well, he also gets to say, "It's like, hey, Joe, we're gonna fight again someday." And I was just like, don't say it, Chief. Don't be like that, Chief.
Yeah. Now it's never going to end.
And now I will retire, and not on my boat to live forever or something like that. No. In a very sensible way, I'll just keep doing the gig economy and playing the guitar. You could have went with that, but he kept saying things that don't bode well.
Yeah, it was never going to end entirely happily for him anyway. I was looking into the symbology of what the hummingbird means. And there's the way that Chief tells it to Mio here and ways like hummingbirds like a cart markers or like in our people, they can't mean you got somewhere you can't come back to, because hummingbirds can fly forwards, but can also fly backwards. So you are not set in one direction. You can kind of change and move forward or backwards as much as you need to. But also in Central and Southern American cultures, they are symbolic of the souls of the departed warriors coming back so from the great beyond to take care of the ones that left behind.
Yeah, and it was kind of like hummingbirds were thought to be like immortal, or non-dying or something like that. So it's the idea that it's literally on his gear, and that can be passed on. Much like he keeps talking about, Joe, you passed your will down to me, and I use that to help out these guys here, these people I care about. And it's just like, yeah, you can pass it on will, but like that's people aren't mortal, but will is immortal. That kind of way.
So that's like, you got someone to go back to, Joe. If I win this fight, you gotta promise me you gotta stop running away from whatever you're running away from. Can't just leave him. can't go back on that promise between men. So he hops on the bike and he's gonna get back to civilization, face his fears.
Yes, it says, with the promise he made with Chief in mind, Joe returns to the gym where he once called home. That's what it says on the site. I hadn't realised the site also gives you the English titles for each of the episodes as well.
Yes.
If you just want to say it in English, that's
yeah, I hadn't even realised they were there, so I will look at that next time.
I kind of like to have that in there as well, and also there's a little bit there in the eye catch too. This was the flor blanca, the white flower, which lots of white flowers, like for a funeral perhaps.
I really enjoyed this little arc. It's a nice little summation of the themes that you can often get in like sports movies, boxing movies, that kind of thing. But it felt like solid enough on its own as well. Though it's obviously tie into his story.
I think the story's good. I think the boxing is still the weakness. The actual boxing is not very exciting.
Yeah, like the thing I liked about this fight on that emotional hit rather than on the watching your footwork, watching your like the actual craft of it. And it's going for boxing movie more than boxing match, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's kind of a good way to kind of draw it back in and then to have it to be about Joe, but also the kind of became more of this reflection of Joe, because here is somebody else who's also been beaten down, and they've been in that same place where they were just kind of more enthralled to their vices, but they couldn't keep feeling sorry for themselves forever because they have some responsibility that they have to see up to. You kind of want to examine that scene again, and think, did Chief just pass away as quietly, or was there some other thing in it? I did just to double check whether. I think he took some painkillers off of Joe. I got to see that he stashed them in the glove box of his car or his truck or anything.
Okay.
Because I don't know about it. It's kind of questioning about it because he would much rather be in the afterlife with his wife and his child. But he's only sticking around because again he has these last few things he's got to square away.
Well, he says it at the start of the episode, like him rushing into the fiery fucking inferno of his caravan and grabbing the pictures of his wife and kid and the money he'd stashed away, and he's just like, yeah, they must be keeping me away for a little longer because I still have stuff to do. And once he's everything that he needs to get done, he doesn't have a reason to stick around, like literally giving up the ghost kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it's still cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Then you've got Fruits Basket, the final season, episode 4. I'm home.
More heavy stuff here. It's like
but at least Harry gets to do
Rain.
at least he gets to do the whole you mess with the bull, you get the horns kind of fucking thing. He gets to be pissed, which I'm like, yes, I like that.
Yeah. It's different from before though. It's another nice little thing here where we saw it like with Yuki in last week, where he had this confident kind of outward facing thing. That's kind of more put on because he was like not. He was the prince of the school, so he was expected to be that way. But fame, like no, he is like that kind of confidence became genuine because he's able to himself, and so that it isn't just a facade anymore. He's putting on. It's more something that he's in control of, and he has control over. Same with like we've seen how we can just kind of flip out and go fight crazy and want to just beat people up. And he gets really angry, and we kind of see that more channeled towards an actual cause here. It's like again, here's some aspect about him that's changed, that's I suppose matured about him, because he gives somebody else something that we can channel that rage, that grief, whatever that is, towards. Because it's Kurono. I helps him fight. He's getting sus about where is Rin and who he's bringing food out to the cottage at the back, where only the cat is meant to be interned inside. And it's like, yep, had Rin just kind of locked up in there. To about the order of events here, I think it was like Rin was like kind of poking around at night, just trying to hunt for clues about how to break that curse.
Basically, and got caught by what's his face,
by
his
Ren,
mother.
actually.
Yeah, and she was all like, "Oh, I actually do know the secret of how to break the curse. If you can go get this thing do me a favor, and then I'll tell you the information." And it was to get
a box from Akito's room.
Yeah. Was it the father's ashes or?
Father is inside the box. I presume it's the ashes. Or
that seems to be. Right? Yeah, that seems to be the implication. Obviously, gets caught by Akito, and Akito is like, "All right, I'm gonna lock you up in here, and here's your options, right? Either you stay here and fucking die, or I'll go after
Haru and I'll put his eyes out."
Yeah, and she's kind of like, well, no, that's a fucking easy thing to do, or Rin, not that it's an easy thing to do. It's like it's obvious which the choice is for her. She'll stay there and just slowly fucking die, it seems.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'll cut off or I'll snip away your long, lovely tresses that, you're probably so proud of these, you kind of flaunt them. Probably a little jealous that I haven't got hair as long as and luxuriant as you do, so I'm going to just snip away at you, and then no one will want you.
Yeah. And we kind of get this in like reverse order, because it's as characters are finding out what happened, we find this out. But yeah, in the order, that's obviously what happened first, while they're kind of looking for Rin, and our formerly chicken boy finds this out. So clearly it's like, oh no, I can't get involved. I'm not going to get involved. And it's like, yeah, but you're going out of your way to help people and this kind of thing. He made sure, like when Haru confronted our god character, he was more so like, yeah, I've sent her to the hospital. Don't worry about it. She's going to be okay. The doctor said she'll pull out of it. So it's the thing of like he is actually like purposely getting involved, which is a nice way of showing his character changing. Yeah,
it's just like he is the one who is definitely free of Zodiac curse, and then without that sort of inner voice compelling you to
obey God,
to obey God and give your love to God. You can see from the outside this situation is fucked, and I got to maybe undermine it whenever I can, as best I can. Haru kind of pulls back though. So like puts his fist and like one shatters the wooden supporting beam of the building there. But it's been saying, no, I'm not going to do that because I meant to protect people, not harm people.
Oh, we've got a frozen Dwayne.
Hello.
Hi. You're moving again now.
Bizarre. Like he blames Akito for it, yeah, but he also blames himself for it, and because he feels like I feel like this is the second time it comes up this week in a thing. Like love is like he did get in trouble for loving him, but he still couldn't stop himself from loving her. He couldn't stop himself from being with her. In the end, anyway. So that's kind of one of the reasons he held back, because he also blames himself to some extent that he did this as a selfish thing in its own way, which is an interesting one of blaming yourself. But Rin does wake up in the hospital, tries to sneak back. I assume to like the cat's house to die, because otherwise that her ex-boyfriend.
Just trying to get out anyway.
Yeah. but yeah, she seems to be in a daze, and then she seems to. It's like, oh, I'm reliving all this horrible fucking traumatic shit that happened to me. I'd just like to see him one more time before I die, if this is my life flashing before my eyes, kind of thing. And she does see him, and kind of there's like a slight confession there, just like, oh, I wanted to see you and stuff. And it's like, hey, it's not this isn't a vision or anything. You're just passed out on the street in the morning. I'm gonna carry you to the hospital.
The fun picture.
While two school kids watched, which was kind of funny. Yeah.
Right, going like, whoa, who are these beautiful, beautiful ladies, beautiful people?
Yeah. And like, the title of it is "I'm Home," where he's like, "Hey, if you've done all your stuff, then if you've done everything you need to do, you can just come home with me." And she says, "I'm home," while still being carried on his shoulders, obviously.
Yeah, it's like you're been when you're putting yourself at risk. You know, I feel like I've done nothing, and that's why I feel fucking so guilty about it. But I'm a big dumb shit. So the least I can do is carry you and protect you and keep you safe while you're doing that. But it's like, you know, with Rin, her parents abused her and cast her out. The person that she views, whether she wants or not, as God abused her and passed her out and threw her out of a fucking second-story window.
They didn't try to kill her. Yeah.
But Har was the one constant, you know, no matter what happened, no matter what way I was feeling, no matter like what risk I'm exposing them to, like he'd always be there. He'd always be some person I could always go back to. Yeah. Very serious shit episode. You knew it was serious shit because they skipped the opening credits. Just straight banging. Yeah.
They had a lot of trauma to get through before they could do the kind of happy ending. So yeah, they needed to skip those credits.
It is that, yeah. And the tires are fraying now. There's a little kind of cutaway to like a cord, or little ropes kind of coming a little bit unwound.
I like that because it wasn't like a straight up cut or anything, just to show that like one of the little strands of it are fraying and everything. And that symbology comes up multiple times in the episode, just to remind you, and also because it looks cool.
Yeah, just like all this, as much as you've try and like force these people to stay close to you, you know, it's like the more they'll try them away from you. And this is like setting Akido with a kind of cognitive dissonance thing. Again, you probably can't understand it looking from the inside out. So it's like, they're meant to love me. Why do they keep betraying me? Why do they keep calling me? Why do they keep calling me an asshole to my face and the door?
Because you keep acting like an asshole. You keep being unspeakably cruel to people, and then people don't like you. What the fuck? Stupid.
Well, that abuse has been passed down, and you know.
Yeah.
You can't like you reinterpret it in your own way, the way you think it should be, and it's just like then it just doesn't make sense to. Again, it's the cognitive dissonance thing.
Yeah. I'm curious as to how well the show has managed to pull off that landing of like, if not allowing you as the viewer to forgive Akido, then to like at least get where the fuck they're coming from, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Then on to no more cheerio episode, probably maybe even less cheery, I don't know. ODDTAXI, episode 4, Tanaka's Revolution. So you have to wait another week to find out how the monkey's date goes, because we're going to go back to the guy whose super, super rare dodo went flying as a taxi went past him.
But let's rewind back to his childhood.
Yes.
Show the his entire life up to the point where he dropped his phone with that super rare dodo from the gacha game fucking thing. I think it's like a Farmville type thing he's playing, right? Because it's a zoo you run or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find out his entire life leading up to this point has been a gacha game.
Yeah, pretty much.
But not only does that taxi colliding into him bring him to the story, but also that super rare Donraku one of a kind of razor is also somehow tied into his story.
Yeah.
It's an essential eraser to the plot. What the fuck? Why?
Super rare baseball card.
Oh my god!
Yes.
He's gonna kick his ass if he finds that rubber on him. Oh Jesus!
Wait, he's gonna kick his ass anyway.
I mean, like, but I mean, like, if he manages to talk him down, it's like, here, take this eraser to erase your mistakes, and it's like, oh, I'll You're the guy. I forgot the username.
You're Ditch11, Ditch Itchy Itchy.
Yeah. That was the guy's
My
name.
eBay nemesis and also my Zooville nemesis. You son of a bitch.
This is why I generally don't do the things on the bidding things on eBay. I like decide a number, I put that upper limit in, and if it goes more than that, I was like, not for me.
Exactly.
Then.
Yeah.
Other than that, I do the buy it now ones. Those are the only ones I fucking do.
And also, don't play gacha
Not
games.
worth it.
So yes, I mean, it's
That too.
It's
Yeah.
very much like looking in on the outside, whereas I saw lots of other people on Twitter had a very different reaction, a much more visceral reaction.
They were as mad. Mm-hmm.
And also
this is what it looks like.
And also the ones who are excusing their behaviour by saying, but surely the dodo would have been saved on the cloud, so he wouldn't have to worry about his phone being destroyed.
Maybe on your phone plan, but not on his.
Like it didn't get to do the save thing before his phone fell into a fucking storm drain.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I know, it was people excusing their own habits by saying, this wouldn't happen in real life.
Dude, folks, if you're in this deep, then you've got a gambling problem.
Yeah.
I fucking read stories here of a fella. He had a wife and children, but he was hooked in his Final Fantasy gacha game, and he just got in deeper and deeper into it, to the extent that he spent the 10 grand plus dream holiday fund is going to take all his family on. He spent it on some fucking Chrono Trigger skins in his fucking game. It's just like, naturally his wife found out and fucking got him help. It's just because you're sick.
Yeah.
So the other question is Don Raku the Don that the Tapir is talking about? And is he the father of the cat who's gone missing? Which is weird because he's on the panel at the news show in episode 1 where they're discussing the cat going missing.
Yeah, but he doesn't get to say anything. Like, is he the father of the cat, but not like officially?
Because the sort of thing this does is it shows that the cat's mother is a rabbit, so therefore
it did. I was going to say that. Yeah.
The type of animal doesn't necessarily have any bearing on.
It's BoJack Horseman rules.
Yes.
Yeah. The cat had 2 sons who were cats. Whether he could have a daughter that was a cat, I don't fucking know. But yeah, it's basically it doesn't matter.
Gumball has taught us that the daughter would be a rabbit. We see him back at primary school where he's sort of going through like how to be cool in primary school, and the only option he's got is to have a cool eraser collection. He's that big of a loser.
Yeah, but it also I did like the thing because I fucking hate that in primary schools and even secondary schools where it's like you have a uniform and everyone has to have the same stuff, and no one can wear brand name stuff because there's a disparity basically between how rich your parents are, that kind of thing. But then it's like, yeah, but not stationary. You can have whatever stationery you want. That's not standardized. So people will always find ways around it.
Yeah.
Like I remember going to school where it was all like school uniforms, but everyone had like sports jackets, and you'd have the brand name sports jacket over your fucking uniform, or you'd have like the shoes that would be of a particular. Everyone finds ways around that shit, so it's fucking pointless to put in.
I'm always mind-boggled that the shoes, which were the cool shoes at our secondary school, are now perhaps the cheapest shoes I can get when I go to Sports Direct.
Oh, the mighty have fallen.
It's weird, man. There was a fucking miniature economy made up of a particular kind of like chewy, like sweet bar from the tuck shop at my school for a period of about like the month or two after we were first introduced in there. They were like kind of a long, chewy sweet, and there was like a miniature like shadow economy based entirely upon that as a form of currency.
Yes. But yeah,
I believe that there was the Power Rangers chewing gum because it had like a sticker in it, and I didn't want the stickers, so I just traded that, and I could get like fucking twice as much chewing gum basically.
Prison, man.
Great.
I bought and sold you for a super rare Pokemon card.
And that's why my teeth are fucked. Damn, they caught up with me.
But yeah, so it turns out like this only the erasers at the stationery only actually mattered to 2 of the children, possibly only literally Tanaka, because it was just one child was getting the attention because his parents travelled and they'd bring back souvenir erasers, and he had all Tanaka had was one rare dodo eraser. That was his thing. So he sees this one of a kind Don Raku on pretend eBay, steals his dad's credit card and bids on it, but then someone else keeps on bidding up, and eventually he wins, but he doesn't get the eraser, and also his dad beats the shit out of him for finding he spent, how much is it? He spent a ridiculous amount of money on this eraser.
He put an extra zero on there, so he spent about $1,000.
Oh, he spent 1,000. I thought he spent like 100, like something that would be pretty nasty.
No. It was it started at 30,000 yen, so that's very roughly about $30 US.
Yeah,
so he was going like up. I was going to bid 100 more than what it was last one. It was always 100 more again. To which, for my blood, I'm gonna put in 10,000 yen. Extra zero. Oh, okay, that's a whole grand down the toilet. It was worth it, kid.
Yeah.
And by the time his razor doesn't arrive, the only other guy he was competing with razors has moved on to other shit.
Yes.
Like, I'm bored with the razors now. We like to play keepy uppy. It's the newest thing in the playground. It's just like, yeah, because fucking that wasn't gonna last forever, bud.
Must have been a World Cup year when this is happening.
Then we meet back in, like, after he's left university. He's got a job at a games company, and the games company is planning on doing a mobile game. So why don't you check out the competitors to find out? He's like, he's not into it, but he becomes addicted to it, even though they're not the sort of game he likes to play.
Like,
doing this for research.
Basically like market research on what other people, how the other games go, like that kind of thing. But it feeds into that addictive thing that he had when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And his ranking was never particularly high, but it's just like, yeah, I'm doing okay, and people come visit my farm, and then they leave a like, and it feels good. Yeah, chasing that fucking dragon.
The dodos, he loses the dodo. His pet bird, his only friend, dies, so he goes to bury the bird in the park. And he happens to pick.
As soon as he went to the park, I was like, "Oh no, no!"
He goes to bury the bird, and instead digs up a gun.
And it's like, this is a sign from God. And we see him wandering the streets like fucking in a daze. He meets up with that comedian who tries to strike up a conversation. It was like, hey, it's my job to kind of like talk to people and get to know people, so I'm gonna have a conversation with you. But he's out of it. And the only time I was like, oh shit, was when like a car drove by. It was a taxi, and he was like, whoa. That was the only thing he paid attention to. It was like, oh, this is bad. This is very bad.
Is that the only conversation? Is it that any dialogue when he meets that comedian? Is it all just a monologue throughout the rest of it?
Oh, it's a monologue.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, he's counting up about his woes and his travails and what he did and what he should have done, and always underscored with saying this was an exaggeration and also a lie.
So the only other dialogue I think tends to be when he's talking to someone else in the past, like at his job or something like that.
Yeah. It's so sad, like like he's got like his job, he's at the games company. It's like, oh, I'm heading out, see you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow. And then it's like later on, he's well up to his neck, and then, hey, see you tomorrow. The sudden, Now
people are asking him at meetings. It's like, hey, dude, fucking get off your phone, kind of thing. And he's not getting off the phone. He's shouting and screaming at people. He hasn't been fucking fired yet somehow. But
it was reminding me of the Jeff Tibbs character from League of Gentlemen by the end. The Reece Shearsmith character who always in the sketches would go, you know, I've got this gun, don't you?
It's a kind of a neat idea. The Gacha addict assassin. Somebody who's used to beating impossible odds, they'll get their target no matter what.
Because finding this one taxi driver are much lower than getting the rare dodo, so he can totally do this. And he does get the license plate by the end of it, so... Yeah.
I saw somebody suggest that the other person bidding is Dogu, the guy whose gun it's his.
Ooh.
Because of the meaning of his name, I believe means like digging, or it's something related that would tie in with ditch, would be like a play on words on his name. Oh, we've completely got a frozen Dwayne there again for a moment. And he's about the right age, because it was like, I think the people were like thinking, your alpaca lady might be too young. She's 4 years older than he is, but I'm like, why would she be bidding that amount of money? Whereas
also she is like a direct link to the monkey guy.
Yes, so
you have someone she could have got it off. Yeah,
and I'm wondering whether it was there purely as like some sort of money laundering operation.
Yeah, yeah, deliberate. It's like fucking this is bullshit. Someone wanted this fucking thing. Yeah,
They've
that
done
would make
it,
sense.
for Stranger Things. There was that fucking the fucking money laundering with the McDonald's Monopoly game tickets they made that documentary about. So yeah.
Yeah, and this would make a lot of sense. It's like, hey, I need you to pay me this money because you fucking owe it to me, and I'm a debt collector. Tell you what, bid on this fucking eraser. No one's gonna fucking want that.
Yeah.
It might have been something as simple as that. That would make a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
because I think he's just old enough to be an adult at that time, because he's like 12 years older than him. So yeah, he'd be about 20 at that point.
If it is him though, then he's like number one in that Zootopia fucking mobile game, which is a very odd character.
Well, yeah, he's a lot calmer than he comes across, isn't he? When we actually had him
I guess
give
that's
dialogue.
true. Yeah, yeah.
You could sell your account if you want some quick cash. People will line up to buy that for hundreds and not thousands.
Then we got Zombieland Saga Revenge, episode 4, Pure-Hearted Electric Saga, in which there's a bit of a misunderstanding going on.
If only they communicate, there wouldn't be a plot.
By smash, I meant smash through this barrier with inside yourself. I didn't mean smash my guitar.
But yeah, that is the good thing, is that miscommunication is also there.
That was very fun. Oh, that was so yeah. It's also he goes that this guitar's been with my best friend for years, and it's like, no, dude. But they do try and fix it, so that's nice.
But yeah, it is. Junko is worried that I is planning on going back to Iron Frill and thinks that I doesn't like being in Fran Choo Choo as much as she liked being in Iron Frill. And so has to get a pep talk eventually after somehow nobody was listening to Sakura when she was trying to talk to people. From Kotaro, and he's telling her to smash through, but constantly the camera is pointing at his guitar every time it says smash it.
Well, also he's punctuating his speech with like fucking jamming on the guitar, so he's drawing attention to it. Yeah.
And so they then do a rock performance at the concert, much to the death metal fans' excitement. Ty is not only can drum on a bucket, also an amazing drummer on drums. And on
channel energy somewhere. Just show some YouTube videos you got in no time.
Is she a good singer? No. Will she try and bite you and turn you into a zombie? Yes. Is she amazing at physical movement? Yeah, she always gets the dances down pat. She's a fucking excellent drummer. Yeah. Just very talented overall.
Then the first song ends and they smash the guitar, and Junko points the remains of the guitar at Ai, and she rushes to join them on stage, and they go to grab and her arm starts coming off.
Yeah.
Oh, forgot about that. So they kind of reach for, like she leans into her, and it's like.
I think we're gonna have to restart the Skype call. Hang on a second.
They use the remains of the guitar.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry.
We're live again, so as it says on the title, let's smash it. So where were we before Skype so rudely interrupted us?
The conclusion of the concert.
Yes, they do the first song, smash, runs, arm starts falling off, they fall together into the pit between the stage and the audience, into the electrical gear, they become electrified, everyone else gets electrified, and they are electric zombies performing their final song of the episode.
They do that cool digital effect that they get from being electrocuted.
Yeah, and then we check in with Iron Frill, and the leader of Iron Frill declares Fran Choo Choo as their only rivals in the business.
Good.
Which is good exposure to get on that nationwide talk show. Yeah.
Raise between where there's going to be a destructive impulse because the leader of Iron Frill is like dead set on trying to recruit I for the band. We're going to get it. Want the best talent. We're going to be like a global franchise. But our band is saying, "Nah, man, you're just like going out there because you're living in the past, man. You're not thinking about our future, are you?"
Mm-hmm.
Whereas what Otto Kotaro's trying to say, in a sense, to Junko too, is just like, you were born a zombie. You're not tied to what kind of idol you were in the past. You can be anything you want to be now. And one person leaving the band does not diminish your worth, what you contribute to it. Or is that all you think you're worth? Get up there and smash it, but not literally, but also semi-literally.
Then moving on, because we've got more to do, we've added an extra thing this week. At least me and Dwayne have. We've got DYNAZENON, episode 5. What's lover like mean? In which we learned that she's gotten good over the past week in driving the robot, possibly better than our hero.
To go through a full floor gymnastics routine in it, or a big dinosaur. That's pretty good.
Everyone needs to go off, but first of all, they have a go at combine. She suggests, well, if we combine the wing with the robot, why can't we also combine the car with the robot? And Gal was like, that's a good idea. Let's give it a go. It does combine, but then it topples over because it's very top heavy.
It's just arms on a dinosaur, so now there's no.
It feels like it's trying.
Entire episode. Sorry.
Yeah, in Gridman they had like the big truck and it turned into big giant pointy arms. It's like, how does that work? It's actually online world. Don't worry about it. Like it's like somewhat in some kind of different dimension with different physics.
Yes.
So that you got to acknowledge the gravity and weight of things. Yeah.
Then we've got Yomogi and Yume. They're going to meet the classmate of Yume's sister, who they were put in contact with in the previous episode, where they get to look at some private YouTube videos. And he suggests he can put them, eventually gets back in contact, so that he can put them in contact with the head of the choir club.
Oh, the bread.
And we also got Kayomi hanging out with Yomogi's boss after hours, and wondering if it's okay because aren't you married? Should we really be here drinking like this?
Yeah, it's cute, isn't it? Just cute.
Yes. And after that's all settled, then Shisei meets with Kayomi, and look, she's won tickets to go to a water park. So everyone gets to go to the water park, including Suzumu, the nice member of the Kaiju Eugenicists.
Because basically he was there when they got the text going like, oh, fuck, we got a free trip to the water park. And he's like, cool, can I come?
Yeah.
Trying to destroy the city, but you're also a classmate. I don't see a conflict of interest here.
Again was like, excellent, you've done it. Well, I can now capture him. I couldn't capture him at school because I'm an adult wandering onto school trying to capture a school child.
And the police will catch me. It's like, okay, how are you going to catch him? Like this. Just mash his hands together. And it's just like, you're so bad at this.
You spend the episode then was like stalking him around a pool going, I'm going to get you, motherfucker. Oh, yeah, it's going to be good. It's like, and what had been the lifeguard going, sweep, no running in the pool.
No horse
stalk
play.
You at a reasonable pace.
Them rushing to the scene when the kaiju arrives at a reasonable pace, but not running, and just the shot of the guy there with the megaphone about to fucking shout at them, even try running. That made me laugh very hard. There was a bunch of scenes of non-animation, including the churro eating scene, that made me laugh very fucking hard in this one.
Yes.
It's very good.
Full of churros at fun. Hey, what you got there? It was pretty good. Churro, yeah? Yeah. It's all right.
Sugar everywhere. Not reacting to the sugar, but just that. Great stuff.
Cool. Nice.
I will. I don't know if this is a problem or a feature of the show. Is that all the non-kaiju, all the non-robot stuff is so much fun and interesting that I then struggle to remember what the monster did each week.
The monster was cool this week because it was clearly like a guy in a big mascot suit until it flipped upside down and then it was an actual monster. Which I was like,
angry
that's actually
eyes.
really cool. Yeah.
You can sort of imagine like someone like that, like they flipped over doing a handstand and they're just like kicking their legs, they're threatening man, like, whoa, scary face and on the inside. It is just good because the kids go to the pool, they go to the water park, and there's like also the kaiju genesis there because it's also their day off to go to the water park as well. It's just like it's like not very tense standoff across in the hot tub.
Was this the best episode of Gridman as well, where they all like hung out and it wasn't about monsters? It was they didn't go to a water park. They were going on like a summer holiday or something. Was it?
Like a school outing, I think there was.
I think
River goes to a forest and do some outdoorsy stuff. It's pretty all right. It's kind of following on in fine tradition of Megas XLR and JoJo Part 4. It's like if we give these kids superpowers to save the world, well, how much of it will they spend us fucking around? Very little time spent in actually saving the world, or whatever we're meant to be doing with these. And it's fun that way because, like, yeah, it is just.
Because when the baddies show up to the water park in their swimwear and everything, they're like, "Well, we gotta go now and invade the thing." And your one's like, "Oh, can we not stay for a bit?" It's like, no, we can come back later. Kaiju now, back to water park after when we lose inevitably, obviously.
Yes. There's a little kind of messing details here all the same because it's hanging around in the water park and all these people splashing around. It's like bringing back some flashbacks for you, May, because maybe we get a better idea of precisely how her sister passed away. Whether she jumped in herself or her body was in the canal. So it's not always happy memory. It's also as well with Chise, a little detail. We see her in her regular like day-to-day wear. She's got her tank top and she has wearing like little sleeves, but she's gone to the pool, keeps that left arm covered all the time as well.
Yes. Yeah. That's not just a fashion thing. It is a thing she persists in doing.
Yeah. So there's a story to be told underneath that now as well. And it may probably will likely tie into why she doesn't go to school anymore.
But yeah, it does a really nice job of like having that little bit of menace underneath, and then ending it or like a very like, oh, that's the way it is, and that's the way you kind of figured it was if you're watching it, if you're kind of reading into it like that. But after such a fun episode, it seems even darker. Yeah.
Well, it's when you see him just kind of having a crack in the pool in the second, like idiot kids, it just like makes those dark spots like stand out all the more in relief, don't they? Yeah. But still, defeat the monster and gets killed again. But he just goes into the hot tub. It's like, I feel alive again.
Yeah, even had like some fun bits between them where obviously he's pulling her close with the inner tube and that kind of thing, and it's just and everyone commenting is like, yes, he's doing well, like he's getting in there. This is a good date because he was like, I'm gonna ask her on a date. Is it not that simple? But then they get to go on a date with all their friends, and then they have to pretend to be a couple, and he's trying to figure out what do couples do, like the whole thing, just being really bad at being being very good at being an awkward teenager. Yeah.
Well, that's just kind of it. They are just two dumb kids.
Yeah.
And when will these strange feelings, we're doing that? No, but we're kind of hanging out, having fun with each other. It's like, do I like this person in that way?
Yeah.
We have more in common than being giant robot pilots.
And then right at the end, they meet up with the head of the choir, who suggests that there was a theory going around that it wasn't an accident, but that her sister committed suicide. Episode halts mid-word, which I thought was a nice dramatic touch.
Yeah.
And then we got Back Arrow, episode 17. Is This How They Rise Up? In which Ty has got his dreadnought ready to smash Wrecker. This stirs up the blood of the Emperor, and he's like, I like how he straightens himself up.
Yeah, he basically transforms into a different kind of horny guy. Yeah.
Yes. And heads back, and then launches himself as an arrow at it to destroy it. Well, to kill time.
That's pretty.
Oh, I can't fly, but I can fucking really fling myself at you.
Yes. Then Rudolph gives. God, I can't remember. You should really remember his name because he's much more important now.
Peace.
The blonde-haired guy.
Peace is
Peace. Yes. Hey, Peace. You could have one as well.
Yeah, like he orders the evacuation of the city, and it was underneath the city the whole time. 2 flying dreadnoughts. Who'd have thunk it? And now they're both obviously going to make their way towards our boys
on
their non-flying one.
Because they're flying beyond the wall. They're going to go and meet with the founder of the religion and that woman who gave them the coordinates last time. It wasn't a person at all. It was like a manifestation of pure conviction.
So it wasn't going to be a reveal if you reveal the thing. The idea was, that's not actually a person you're talking to.
And the reason they find this is because Backer grabs her when he asks, "Will I find out who I am?" And she just shrugs. So he grabs her shoulder in anger, and she disintegrates into like salt.
Like that suggests to me that like even characters like the Doc stuff, it's like there's a way for them to undo this because it's like you dissolve into particles, and I was like, well, they literally made a person out of those particles.
Maybe,
yeah,
And those particles they sink down, and they're like one of the geological strata of this planet, this world.
So you're still there to some extent, or in a different form. Yeah,
in a live stream, you could say.
Well, yeah. Let's hope you're not relying on that the way your internet connections are going this week. Yeah, so in order to take care of this flying dreadnought coming straight at them and all the Breithearts they've got, they now have to transform Grandedger. It does not turn into a giant robot. It just stands up, and then they fire the Gran Arrow.
Because it was such a dumb thing. Is like, they can't hit us. They can only hit things on the ground because it only shoots like laterally. We're fucking grand. And it's like, oh fuck, it can stand up.
Like, I didn't know his car could go up on his 2 back wheels at that. We're good enough driver. Yes, you can.
And then it's time to go through the wall to Epitaph Mountain and meet the Lind Faith. This is a whole lot of new information for them to take in. So they go through the wall. What's on the other side? Another wall!
What?
It's walls all the way down. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of mountains beyond the wall with one massive one, which presumably is the Epitaph Mountain they need to go to, which is in the opening credits. But then behind that, another wall. What possible answers are there for Backer and his chums?
They all live just outside the cavity wall of a giant semi-detached bungalow in the suburbs. And now they've gotten into the insulation.
Like, this character shows up in a dreadnought, and he's taking over the country now. Not really. The Emperor kills him immediately. And now you have a fucking Grandedger. You have a Grandedger. And it's just like, this show goes so fucking...
Yeah, it's like they are questioning exactly what Rudolph's up to as well. And him talk of God as well. It's like, is he God? Or does he see himself as God in this situation?
Yeah, you got to assume that by God I mean me. Me says we going to destroy the whole world.
So yeah, but I think we'll start getting some answers and probably more questions, and probably entirely new enemies to find. Then we've got Dragon Quest, the episode of Die. No, the Adventure of Die, episode 30. Pop's Resolve. Indeed, he has resolved to blow himself up to take Baron down. Doing, what's the move called again? It's
the ultimate move. Yeah.
This is the one I watched the furthest back. Most difficulty recalling.
Do they say kamikaze and do they say something else on the subtitles, or is
Yeah,
it
I
something
feel like
like
they
that?
do.
Yeah.
But basically,
pop,
yeah,
pop
it's
use
that.
self-destruct.
Yeah,
Yes. Anyway,
yeah.
Pop tries to blow Baron up. It almost works, but Baron survives.
Baron
But
survives by flying straight up in the air. Haha. And they're all like looking at the explosion, like, well, clearly they were blown to bits. Oh no, wait, he's just over there. Yeah.
turns out when you search for Pop's resolve, the first result is this episode, and everything else is dealing with Pops on recordings.
We could do some of that.
We could do something to get rid of the delay we all appear to have between us as well at the moment.
Back in quest is just for this. Please write in.
Right, so yeah, so that happens, but this is enough to bring Dai's memories back. And so when Baron, who's he going to go after next? Is it Crocodile or is it the princess?
I think he's just gonna kill everyone basically because he said I'm gonna kill everyone here in my dragonoid form kind of thing.
Yeah, but he leaps in front of an attack in front of somebody, doesn't he, and takes it in his back. And that's when it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he dies back, and then he punches his dad, and it. Well, first of all, he tells him he's not his dad. You're not my dad. Like a proper kid. And then punches him, and Baron's like, how did that hurt me? I've got me dragon force field thing up. And then he sees that Dai has moved his dragon knight mark from his forehead to his fist.
It's supposed to be in the forehead though. That's bullshit.
That's against the rules.
Axe. Total.
So that must mean nobody else can do it, right? That's how is this fair? How is this just? My only son.
So I believe next week, Dai's going to kick his dad's ass.
Yeah, cool.
Because there's nobody else around at this point. Everybody else is lying on the ground injured.
Yeah. Yeah, the only bit I can remember was that last punch. I don't know. It's only been 7 days. Is my memory failing me that
maybe
much?
Baron's.
I guess.
Well, but I did resist Baron's mind wiping attack. Maybe it rebounded and hit you instead.
Maybe watching 15 or 16 other things in a week is more probably going
That
to
might do it,
do a number on my memory as well.
Yeah, and then like a lot of the things you kind of expected to happen, like did happen. Pop gets heroic sacrifice. He gets a cool guy speech. They get to like cradle the body. You know, like all that kind of stuff. All the beats happen that you expected to happen. Not very well done way. Yeah.
Then we got My Hero Academia, episode 94, Foresight. Now, here's really the episode I should have called it. Do we remember their names? Because I think I might have copied over the list of names I've got. Anyway, really, it is Shimeji, her time to shine. As it's, you get a mushroom, everybody gets mushrooms.
I question how much those little spray bottles of hers are helping the situation, but I mean, like they seem to be helping. I don't know.
They seem to help, yes. And really, the key to it is that Class B were willing to fight dirtier than Class A were.
Well, Class B were willing to use chemical fucking warfare, I think was the difference. And I was just like, that seems like a war crime.
That's the team we were assigned. We were all drawn lots at random. That's just the team we wound up with. Somebody had to get Shimeji, and
yes,
this is what we got.
Hey, she wasn't planning on using that particular mushroom fungus because it isn't cute. But they got to win this game. They can't let the class down, and so therefore she's going to make mushrooms grow inside. What's his name?
Tokoyami growing inside his lungs. So you got a fungal infection.
That's it.
You start coughing your guts up. I get the impression
the way they were all just talking afterwards, it's like, if you surrender now, you won't fucking die. Which is like, this is fairly harsh.
I get the impression that she's like doesn't get to use her mushroom power often because it grosses out the rest of her classmates. But now in this combat situation, I can just let it rip. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, I do like how your little shadow boy. He talks all cocky when he's talking to the other Toonie, but then he's like stammering when he has to talk to a girl.
Yeah. I hope she's impressed by my cool guy moves back there.
We properly get to see what Manga's power is that he produces sound effects, which then do the thing that the sound effect would indicate that they're doing.
Echo was Act 1.
Yes.
Was it Act 2? So Act 2 did that. That was it.
So if it's like a big loud noise, it becomes like a big solid block.
But he was doing something to increase the humidity as well, so the mushrooms would grow better.
Yeah, he was just going like moist and fucking like those sound effects.
Yeah.
I like the way the lads were commenting on. It's like, so that's how his power works. How does that work overseas? And the man's like, I don't know, which was great. It's just like, that's as much explanation as I need.
Oh, they've got a very frozen Dwayne on the screen at the moment.
Well.
Just don't get excited. Don't move too much, I think.
Move. Okay.
So yeah, and there's a lot of fights between Kendo and Momo as well, where they
and it's
put
not
her
so much
over
her like trying to. It's not
quite
so
big.
much her, sorry, I'm keep talking over you. Go on.
Yeah, it's because you've got a delay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I do anything about that. Yeah, you carry on now.
It's not so much her because obviously our what's our Hulk hands girl called again?
Kendo.
Battle Fist.
Battle Fist. Yes, it's an excellent name. She's trying to beat her because it's just like, you're superior to me. You got a better power. You got better grades and something like that. But our creaty is more so trying to not beat her, but like support everyone else by giving them a surprise pack. What was her bag named again? She shoots cannon with a lucky bag or something like that at the other guys. It's like, this is an to the other guys by using the
Yeah, I didn't hear anything you said there because it all kept on breaking up.
Forget about it.
You probably think he's trying to say you got some night vision goggles in here, and based on the design, looks like it could be for a bird head. Probably few Tokuyamis you can be, operate in the shadows. Go get him, Tiger.
Mm-hmm. But it's a 4-0 win to Class B by the end.
Mm-hmm.
They capture everybody without being caught themselves. So I assume we'll get like a quick recap assessment from Eraserhead
Of what you
I'm
all
a
went wrong.
little disappointed we don't get Vlad's assessment of the other teams.
But he thinks they're all great. He's like, oh man, they're all winning for
That's
Class
true.
B. Aren't they brilliant?
He gave them a general talking down in the last episode, whereas Eraserhead went student to student. Like, he's good like person to person, but Lad seems to be just a general teacher, I guess. Yeah.
Then it's is it Shoto versus Tetsu's team? Is that the next one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the most fun things about these are seeing the characters who haven't had a lot to do get to do something.
Yeah. Poor Aoyama was really like the weak link in that chain. He didn't get to do a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
He's got a lot more room to improve.
Yes. Then we got Detective Conan episode 1004, the 36 cell perfect game part 2, because I forgot part 1. I hadn't realised they were going to so quickly back to canon material.
Wow.
In which Kogoro has been called away to Nagano to investigate a suicide which happened 2 months ago. And there's 4 tickets, but Ran can't go because what's her face, the rich girl, is ill, so she's looking after her. So they have to find somebody else to replace her. So it's Kogoro, Ray, and Conan going, and who can they take? Well, luckily, the next door neighbour, mystery-loving sushi chef, shows up, and he'll take that ticket. He'll come along with them. He is voiced by Shigeru Chiba.
Oh, brilliant.
He is also one of the suspects for being Rum.
Ooh.
And he also looks like your fella out of Ashton No Joe, the coach.
Gambu.
He's got
Yeah.
an eye patch and like mouse teeth.
Because one guy, he's got the eye patch. You got the other guy with just the scars over his eye, and you got the third guy with the glasses with one of the glasses kind of blacked out. Is that it?
Yes, but
Yeah.
the guy with the scars over his eye is not a suspect.
I thought that he had the scars to make him a suspect, or at least to make
Yeah.
people think he was a suspect. Yeah.
The other suspect is one of the teachers at the elementary school.
Does that teacher also only have one eye?
No, she does.
She could have a glass eye.
Yeah.
She's also not a man, which is she doesn't fall into many of those things. But
Yeah.
I believe her name is Ruby, and she is also played by Lum.
Okay. Yeah.
That the second part is more stunt casting than anything.
Could be a
else.
fake eye patch as well.
I think it is a fake eye patch by the way they constantly have shots of his eye patch throughout this episode. Kaninori Wakita is your fella's name. This sushi chef. He's been in it before, but not. I don't think I've seen an episode where he's in it as much as he's in this one. And we opened up with those four though playing Old Maid on the train, and Conan's wondering how on earth did the four of us end up being on a train going to Nagano, and then we get like the flashback of how it happened. And like Wakita's got some very barbed lines which seem aimed at Ray about people betraying him, and he's like, "Oh, I was just talking about a fishmonger I know." And then later on in the episodes, he's like, "This child seems very intelligent," and Ray's like, "No, it's just the shallow thoughts of a child he's having." So he's clearly, because I think that's the thing with all three of them is that Hyoe is definitely suspicious because he was sending messages to Ray in an earlier episode, wasn't he, about investigating Conan. I believe the teachers also seems to be investigating Conan. So it's this balance of paranoia that's going on. Is Conan's trying to track down Rum, who's the second in command of the Black Organisation, while all the time it appears to be each of the three suspects of being Rum are also trying to figure out what's the deal with this smart kid who keeps on showing up at crime scenes all the time.
A fair question. Yeah.
Yes, which really somebody should have asked by now. But that, however, is just in the bubbling paranoia in the background, because the plot is the person who had invited them to investigate the suicide appears to be the person who committed suicide. Also, when they show up at the church to investigate the crime scene of where they hung themselves, a bunch of his former classmates from school are there. Because they've also all been invited by each other. They've each got a text message from another one in like a circle of text messages saying to come along. And everybody's been sent this 36 cell word puzzle.
Like, I guess like a Sudoku puzzle of like just the kanji
it's like
or whatever. Yeah.
It's a 6x6 grid of either katakana or hiragana. Hiragana rather. But 9 characters are squared off inside it.
Yeah.
However, in these 2 episodes, people are so busy being murdered that they never really stop to
like, hey, do you want to solve this? Like, no, a lot of people are the bodies are dropping. We do not have time to solve this word puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first guy is there's like supposedly there's there's like things of remembrance hidden around the church they're supposed to find. So they go looking they each draw draw paper, which I noticed is cut into 9, the paper she cuts to pick the people, and whoever sent them specifically asked for 4 people, sent the 4 tickets, so there'd be 9 people here.
Yeah. There's definitely some numbers kind of game going. Also, I'm not sure I've seen. It must have been a thing in something else, like a locked chapel mystery rather than a locked mansion mystery.
Yes.
That's got to have been a thing before, right? Because this is great. I love the setting.
Yeah, because it becomes a locked one because someone, first of all, directs everybody to park their cars on a very poor bit of ground, which then is deliberately collapsed.
Yeah.
And then sets off some explosives to cause an avalanche so that the police can't get there through the tunnel to the church. So yeah, one guy, the second to last guy, he gets to pick the toilet. He goes to check the toilets, and it's like an hour later. They're still waiting for him to come back from the toilets, and they go and investigate him, and they find him with a crossbow bolt through his head. Because someone had set a crossbow trap inside the toilet, which was somehow exactly the right height to hit him in the head, and yet he was picked at random, or was he picked at random? That is the question.
Yeah.
That's in part 1, and then part 2, they decide to all stick in pairs now, so they don't get into trouble.
So if one person ends up dead, then you know it was person number 2 who fucking killed him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, so 6 of them are sat by the fire they've made while Conan and Ray are investigating the first murder. And one of them, they hear like a rattling in the building next door, and they want to go to investigate, but the Kogoro and the sushi chef are like going, "That's a really bad idea. You really shouldn't do that." But they get outvoted by the kids.
Run towards the screaming. I'm with them here. That's not smart.
Yeah. I do like Wakita's thing of like he's a mystery novel enthusiast, so everything's shot through the prism of how things happen in mystery novels. So they then pull. What are they? Oh no, they've got boxes of mints, and they pull boxes of mints. 2 are empty, 1's full, and so it's the guy who was holding the box with the original notes from the previous episode, and the guy who's a clean freak, who will refuse to drink anybody else's water. He was only going to drink his own. They go off. He comes back saying, "Where have you seen Kawasaki?" Who's the clean freak? He's gone missing because he got a text message and he ran off. And they go looking for him, and he's dying of poison, cyanide. Yeah, but there's no sign of cyanide from the water because the sushi chef puts a copper coin in.
Yeah, he puts like a copper. And I was like, "Motherfucker, that's some detail shit, you know." Yeah. But so it wasn't in the drink, and I think they have a hilarious thing of the shadowy figure like forcing him to drink the bottle of water. But it's like his shirt isn't all like wet and damp, and there's still water on his mouth and everything, so it wouldn't have dried off. So that's unlikely. Yeah.
Yeah. There's other stuff though, because when the first murder, they're able to contact the police, and they send a video to Morofushi, Yamato, and Uehara from the Nagano police. We saw Morofushi in a recent arc, didn't we, about his brother, his cell phone with a bullet through it he'd found in his locker in an envelope marked with 0.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Where have I seen that blonde-haired kid who's with Kogoro and Conan before?" And eventually, in the second episode, he remembers, is like, "Oh, I remember that kid. He was at school with my brother." And then in the second episode, they get a call from Hyoe, the guy who used to work with them and then moved to Tokyo to take a higher prey job, and he's one of the suspects for being rum, and he wants to speak to Morofushi specifically. I think that's everything from this first 2 episodes. I think there's a new opening which I really enjoyed. There's a lot of fun animation in that new opening, and in general this is a really well directed episode. Both the mystery and it's just like framing Wakita like goes from like a cheery comedy Shigeru Chiba character and then all of a sudden they'll just be like, he'll be framed extremely threateningly. And you're like, what's this guy's deal? Why are you framing him so threatening? This jolly sushi
like
chef.
I said, it's really good. Yeah.
So looking forward to part 3.
I just had a quick check. The hint was the number 9 for the next episode. So yeah, it's definitely that in some regard, but I'm not going to figure it out at this stage.
No, I think the only trick. I think the only difficult thing from an English language watcher is I suspect it's a Japanese language.
I can't do the word puzzle, so
trick.
Yeah.
In figuring out who it is taking revenge and what they're taking revenge for. Yes, it's another suicide, which might be a murder, as opposed to an accident, which might be a suicide. But that might turn out to be a murder as well. Who knows? Then, on to things we've all watched. Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Episode 3, A Lovely Demoness, in which we're introduced to a very mild Amory after she's been gassed by persons who will make themselves very quickly known.
So
could have
lame
been someone
now.
else. Could have been someone else.
So uncool. But we're going to try and do our best as a student council to better get her to make up for our lack of coolness.
They've quickly realised just how much work Amory does as part of the student council, and it's very hard work now. They've got one who's much less efficient in her work, but she's so adorable they can't bring themselves to tell her off and make her work harder.
One stamped, and I'll put it on the pile, and now I'll get the next one to stamp.
This very much going with the stamp is just like the stamp is just like closing her eyes while she does it. Oh boy.
Because it's that it's not just shouting at them and giving out. It's like, no, she's a competent leader who actually does a lot of fucking work herself. So yeah.
And then they return to the office to find the head of the disciplinary club, or battler rather, Renove Romere, who introduces himself via the medium of song. And that was the point at which I was like, oh yeah, this is the Iruma-kun I remember. And I'm glad they've given somebody else the song as well now.
Yeah.
Because that's another arrow in their bow that you can go back to.
And making their own echoes as well. It's me, I'm Renove.
I like the fact that it wasn't like this isn't in the character's imagination. The other players are like, okay, stop that now. Come on, get out of here. And no, he continues singing. It's just like, he is currently singing. This is a musical number that you can interrupt technically. Yeah.
Yeah. And he wants the student council to disband so that his disciplinary battler can take over. And so they're going to have a contest.
Kind of like an election.
Yes.
Which should aid him because his bloodline power is to draw people's attention to him, to charisma, and hold their attention. So he's got to do something else once he has their attention. Which is
he can draw their attention, but that's it.
He's not as good on the follow through.
Everyone look at me and they're like, "Oh, it's that guy." Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a good character, such a good performance.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
These two little lackeys who loaned their entire battler budget on rose petals, just like everywhere he goes.
And to deal with this problem, Iruma's going to have to get his friends on board, starting with Ali, who then tells him off for not summoning him throughout the last episode. Which I did like. And then eventually also Az and Clara. I think the Clara scene is also great.
Bad dog, just chewing furniture.
What does this do? And then she just hurls it at the wall after they've told her what it does. And then wears herself out and goes to sleep. So essentially the games club are having to be her parent. And they just can't. The other clubs just don't see how they're amazed by Iruma and how he can put up with these two. Because Az is just nasty to everybody. The only way they get him to do something is by bringing up Iruma to make him nicer.
That's the Tsukima, like that's how you engage him in conversation. It's like, hey, tell me about Iruma. Oh, Iruma's the most Iruma that Iruma'd ever be.
Yeah.
And he just...
Have we caught up? Have you caught up, Dwayne? Are you with us now?
I hope so. I don't know.
Yeah, seems like it. Yeah, anyway, good episode. Let's move on so we get this thing wrapped up and not have to worry about this delay anymore.
Sorry.
Except, of course, the next thing is I've not seen, so we have to rely on you to tell me what it's about.
This should be tough. Let's keep it short.
Thunderbolt Fantasy, Sword Seekers 3, Episode 5, The Legend of the Demon Princess.
That's pretty much what it is, because it's just a nice lament talking to her sister in the sword, and to get the backstory of that, after the demon war, she hid out as a human, got in tight with the royal family, drove the king or the emperor crazy, and that craziness is passed on down to the monarchy, and was making the current princess crazy. Insanity, essentially.
Yeah, and the idea of sword was, okay, so if I'm a cursed sword, and then I make someone try and kill another person, if another person kills that person, they'll pick up the sword, and now they're crazy, so eventually I'll get into the hands of someone of power. That's the plan. And then this motherfucker comes along and starts putting the swords in this big old scroll. So that kind of messes with my plan of killing all humans. Yeah.
It's like, we'll sort that fucker out. Don't you worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
They've come and gone from the odd shop. The odd shop. It's where the dude who made a sword index, is one of his stuff. After Kanyu was like, done talking with the woman outside with the blindfold, does the usual thing, like, oh, who is that? Who is there? And he's got to keep mum. It's like, oh, it's just me, and not talking Pilu. I can't remember the instrument again. Pipa, that's it.
Mm.
Old man is there. It's just like, I see you've been sent by Shang Buhan, I suppose. Let me guess, is Lang Wulo in trouble? Yeah, okay. Here, give him this medicine.
Did you have... Yeah. And there's no way that chapter box would go with anyone else, so...
Yeah. Here's medicine. Drink
spread it out over like a month.
Only half. Oh, God. It's never going to work.
Because I am clearly behind.
Anyways, get the medicine for him. Stick it back, give it to him. Drink half of it. Use the rest for poultices. He'll be good. Don't worry about it. So they have done that. And of course, the big thing in this, the great thing, is that Shang Buhan is finally given old Luo the slip. But what's this in his pocket? It's a communication device that Lin Setsu had actually cobbled together so they could communicate over long distances. It's a walkie-talkie, essentially. But it's shaped like him. And they've just very shamelessly swapped in the merchandisable Nendoroid toy. Probably not anymore in most shops, but there'll probably be a second run of them now after this episode gone out.
They'd be fools not to sell more of those. It's so cute.
It's pretty good. I thought they would do the whole Team America fucking thing, but it seems to be like they got a mannequin hand, or they got like a tiny one of these. But it has interchangeable faces, so it must be the proper toy. Yeah, it's a wagon in a box. It's like, but I made this because it'll have more appealing. Yeah, it was kind of creepy though, because it's just like a little tiny little util. Don't worry about it. When they reconvene back in the cave, got the medicine. Administer it to Lang. He's coming about. He's getting on the mend. He's like, "You went to the odd shop. You didn't see anything. Oh, how could you? Like, you went back to..." And it's like Shang has up and say, "No, I can't go back there. Because I'm not ready to face her yet." It's like, oh, what is it going on? And there's kind of quick little kind of flashback there, little things alluding things up in the past when it was Shang Buhan and Lang. And this woman who was not formally having a blindfold on, up against an unstoppable opponent, who was the dude who is the head of the leader of the Order of the Divine Swarm, the arch villain that Shang Buhan's been on the run from. So obviously some tragedy occurred in this distant past caused a schism in the group.
And this seems to be like, oh, she got blinded in the. It seems to be that she got blinded in the fight. Yeah. I'm guessing that's the way it's going to go. And then he's. But I mean, like, as they keep pointing out in this episode, it's like she can see better than people with eyes now that she's gone blind. She sees like truth and stuff. I think the way she puts it. Because even the old guy's like, I sometimes don't believe that you can't fucking see because you're fucking seeing everything around you at all times. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, most just a sword talking for like a good 15 minutes at a time. Let's everybody talk to the objects we're holding in our hands. The inanimate objects that can now able to speak. That's kind of what we're getting two halves of that essentially.
One half is an advertisement for the Nendroid, and the other half is like a sword talking, and it's mostly boring, but you do get to see a lot of puppet arms get chopped.
A lot of exploding blood showers. Yeah, we're running a few hoses up to those puppets and getting them to spray some of the good.
It's kind of what you expect from a cursed sword to be talking, but it is cool puppet violence, so I'm fine with that.
That's sweet. Okay, that's all we got in there. I just wanted to mention one detail of Zombieland Saga when I is eating her lunch, which has been paired by the rest of the band from before, and she opens the top of it and it says. It's translated as "you suck," but it's like,
oh yes,
but the Norian it's like, oh, that just says, oh, we put it all back in there. It says you'll succeed. It's a good job on the translators there. As it is read when she opens up, it says "kappa" as in hippo, meant to be an insult, but when she puts the rest of it, it's "ganbate," the usual. Hey, you'll go for it. Good luck.
Yeah. That's funny translation. It's a very good joke. Yeah.
Pretty good. I'm all for it.
Rightio, let's get out of here before it all falls apart around our heads.
Again.
We'll be back next week with just me and Dwayne. No Niall, because he's going to live it up in a hotel.
Yay! Thank God for my shitty landlord for not having to place up the code. Hooray!
So me and Dwayne will be back here and probably talking far too long about the Detective Conan episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully with a better internet connection all round. Because it could just be Skype, because Skype was causing us problems as well. So.
Yeah, it is being a dick.
Bye-bye, all. See you next week.
Goodbye again, forever.